Even though we live in the desert and water is so precious here, sometimes it's really nice to look out and see some green in your backyard, even if it's just a little teeny tiny patch. Our 5-minute gardener, Debbie Mounds from Harlow Gardens, has some tips on how to grow it.
If you have young children or you have animals, you may need some grass in your yard. Now there's two ways of doing grass. You can either do it from seed or you can do it from sod. Now I brought my little cheat sheet here, which is basically, this is artificial turf, but this gives you an idea of what sod looks like. You can buy sod from a company out of Casa Grande. They deliver it to some of the big box stores in town. You want to be there if you're going to lay down sod when it arrives to make sure that it's fresh and you have a better chance of succeeding with it. Now sod is good if you're somebody that really feels like you want to have grass right away, because you lay it out and you got grass. Okay, it's instant gratification. It can be a little bit pricier, of course. Now if you're somebody that's a little more patient and don't mind waiting a while, the other option is for you to go with seed. Now people get scared of Bermuda seed because of the old, really common Bermuda that's in a lot of our yards, which is so invasive and kind of rough, but it's tough, but it can get into everything and becomes a pest. There are some new seeds that they have refined the grass in. It's a finer seed, it's a finer grass, and it's easy to prepare. If you want to do that, then there's one, we have one here at the nursery called blackjack seed, and it's easy to prepare for that. Now two things that are important for that is to prepare your soil, mix mulch in about 6 to 8 inches whether you're doing seed or sod, and you can also put in the new lawn starter, and that stuff you put down which helps encourage the root development either on seed or sod. And then once the grass is down, it grows rapidly during the heat. And you do need to be very regular with your fertilizing on either seed or sod. Now if you're going to do the seed, we have a watering schedule in the nursery on once you lay the seed down, you do your mulching, you do your mixing, your tilling, you put your mulch in the soil, lay your seed down, you put about 1/4 of an inch of mulch over the seed to protect it from the birds, and you water it 3 times a day. And then we have a schedule we can show you if you come into the nursery on how to kind of taper off of that once the seed gets going. Okay, then after that you should get to the point where you can water it like every 3 days or so and it'll be okay.
Debbie joins us now. I remember growing up, my duty was to mow the lawn with the push mower, no gas, no electric mower, just the good old. But so let's talk a little bit about lawn care, and we don't encourage people to have a lawn here in Tucson because we just don't have enough water for that, but a little tiny piece is not a bad thing.
Well, and also as we were talking off camera, you have little children, when they're little tykes, it's nice for them to have a place for the swing set or whatever, a little corner of the yard, or if you have pets, a small area. That's generally what we're getting in the nursery. People come in and asking for those kinds of areas mostly. Okay, so you've got a lawn, and generally it's the men that come into the nursery because they've got their little patch of grass and they want it to look good, and it's kind of a dude thing. It's kind of a guy thing.
Yes, I understand.
So and they want to know, how do we get the weeds? How do I get the weeds out of there?
Sure.
Well, the best thing to do for getting out the weeds is make sure that you have a super healthy grass. So because if the grass is healthy enough, it gets thick enough and it chokes the weeds out.
Okay. So
that means regular watering. Now on a Bermuda lawn in the summertime in Tucson, probably every 2 to 3 days.
That little? I would think every day.
Well, some people will water them every day, but if you get the water down about 6 inches every 2 to 3 days, usually that's enough, because that's only as deep as the roots go on grass. Okay, and then fertilize very regularly, every 6 weeks. If you fertilize every 6 weeks, that fertilizer, not only does the fertilizer help the grass grow, but that excess nitrogen in the lawn fertilizers can sometimes burn the weeds out.
Okay.
Because the grass can tolerate more nitrogen. So sometimes that works for you. And there are products out there that you can purchase that are intended to kill the weeds and not the grass.
I don't know about
and there's
that.
a little mixed results on those guys. So just be a little careful. The best thing to do is just, you know, the old-fashioned hands and knees. Yeah, I know. Exactly. So all the more reason to make sure that your grass is healthy.
Yeah. And don't let it get out of control, because once the grass is full of crabgrass,
yes,
it's almost hard to salvage.
Yes. And once your weeds go to seed, then they're dropping seed for the following year, then you're in trouble. So if you stay on it, then you're much better. You got a much better chance of making it look
and also,
really good.
I think if you're planting from seed, and if you buy quality seed that doesn't have like weed seed, because sometimes you're planting weeds too, and you don't even know it if you get a bargain brand. You know, so make the investment of getting some decent seed.
Yes, absolutely.
But I really am surprised at how once every 2 to 3 days, even in the heat of June.
Even in the heat of, well, that's why most of your sod is, your sods that you buy now are some kind of a hybrid Bermuda, and Bermuda is tough to the heat, but if you water it well, then you may not need to water it as frequently.
All righty, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.